Hey everyone, welcome to the Human Cloud Podcast, the spot where leaders come to move the future of work forward. Hey, so this is probably one of my most exciting episodes for all of the year, for all of 2024. And the reason is actually threefold. The first is that this is in partnership with Europe's largest freelance platform, Malt. The second is that we have three of the most important parties when we talk about moving the future of work forward. And that is the clients themselves, the platforms, and the freelancers. And in this episode, this is a panel from Munich where we have Vincent, the CEO of Malt, we have Martina, a freelance HR consultant, and we have Marion, a procurement officer. And the third thing is that when we talk about regions that really need either a freelance or a flexible workforce, whatever the hell you want to call it, Europe, and for those sitting in Europe, y'all need this. I actually just heard some data about European companies embracing Africa and Southeast Asia, and the numbers are mind-boggling. And so when we look at how are European companies going to embrace whatever the hell we want to call this flexible workforce revolution, whatever, we have to look at Malt as the leader in how to do that. And so, quick background, Malt was founded in 2013. It's helped over 800,000 freelancers, over 70,000 clients. Here's the big one, over 9 countries. And Malt has a very specific positioning in terms of they're large, right? And there's plenty of large ones out there, Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer.com, you name it. What's different is Malt deeply understands the enterprise, which is why when we say Malt, we're not just talking about Malt everywhere, right? This isn't Malt global. They have a country by country specific approach. So are you talking about Malt UK? Are you talking about Malt Germany? Are you talking about Malt France, Malt Spain? So keep that in mind as we listen. Another big thing is that you're going to hear why this needs to be a centralized and a strategic initiative. This is not just, let's bring on another vendor. This is, let's have our HR, our procurement, our legal, our finance, and our working team leaders. Let's make sure that they are leading this as a strategic initiative. We like to say that it used to be business leaders and talent leaders. This is now bridging because the business leaders need talent and the talent leaders need to understand the business. So, without further ado, I am so excited for you to listen to this. Make sure you listen, give us feedback, but then most importantly, go drive some change.
I'm super honored to have these three. I'm just going to give a quick little reason why I'm so excited. We have every side. So we have the freelancer, we have the platform, and we have the client. Now, I'm going to start with you guys. Give me a quick intro on yourself.
Yes, thank you so much, Matthew. Hi, I'm Martina. I'm joined from Berlin today. Everything went well with the barn today, I have to say. I was kind of surprised myself, I have to admit. But yeah, when I'm not here talking with you about the future of freelance, I'm a freelancer myself on HR, specializing on HR development, HR transformation, and strategy. So I'm handing it over to you, Mario. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. So for me, myself, I'm working for Accor Group, Accor Hotels, which is one of the cross-industry group in worldwide and also in Europe. I'm working for indirect procurement, so we're thinking of a procurement dedicated to the offices and not for the hotels. And family, I'm French, been in Germany for almost 12, 13 years now. So I'm very happy to be here today.
Hi, I'm Vincent Guet, so I'm CEO and co-founder of Malt. So thanks for having me in your panel and for being here for all of you.
Perfect. Okay. So we have 3 themes, and I want you all to ask questions throughout. Okay, you can ask a question whenever you want. Now, the first theme we're going to talk about is the state of freelancing. We're then going to get into exact application. We're then going to get exactly into what to do right now and tomorrow. So next steps. And you're going to tell us who needs to be involved. I cannot wait. So guys ready to get rolling? So, I'm going to give some quick stats. And Vincent, you're going to be the stat man. But so, quick ones that I want to make sure I highlight again. And that is the talent shortage, right? So Europe needs 20 million, you're only getting 12, you're 8 down. Next is more than 2/3 of European freelancers say they're confident. Next is the 90% of European freelancers that do not plan to get a full-time job. And I do want to say that there's some really awesome data that came out literally this week showing that full-time freelancers have doubled since 2020 and are staying doubled. So they have gone through, remember the whole, what was it, the Great Resignation, right? And talent was feeling pretty hot and then layoff central. But they've gone through and it showed that the full-time freelancers are staying. Now, we're going to get into challenges too, so don't worry. Marion, why did you even come today? And what's the opportunity that you see in a freelance workforce?
So, actually, Accor and Malt have a partnership, related strong partnership, starting already a few years back. And so only Paris and France, actually, mostly. Accor has kind of a digital organization with context where we have the country moving quickly, and each country really had its own developments and processes. So now I will try to unify the processes through Europe first and need to understand what each country was doing, how they are working, what are the main specificities, and trying to really find some suppliers that can really work with us in different countries. So running more from the beginning was a strong in France and can also follow us in different countries where we're going. So it's important for us to continue this partnership and to open in every country that they're working with. And Germany is actually a big country for Accor. Then Europe, it's like the second from third market in terms of hotels. So it's pretty important. We have a lot of mammies and we really need also new talent, new influencers.
Perfect. Okay. Now, Martina, you kind of had to preview this. So I want you to tell us about why you're freelancing. Do you remember what the second thing is? Do her parents know that she's freelancing? Okay, so you're going to have to answer that one. But so, give us the why on your end.
So let me start with the why. Actually, it's two reasons. The first one is a very professional one, as I really love what I'm doing, and I really love having an impact with what I'm doing and really focus on my expertise and the things that I'm good at. And I have the feeling that in a freelance role where I can really focus on that, I could do that much more. So that's the first and more like professional reason, right? The second reason is quite a personal one, because after I gave birth to my second child, I still was super ambitious job-wise, but I found it quite hard to find the flexibility within companies to really combine both, right? And so as I didn't feel of like begging for more flexibility or excusing myself because I might not be available on certain times, I thought I'd just take it in my hands and decide when I'm working for whom. And that's actually the second reason. And do my parents know? They do know, actually, but they did not know during when I made up my mind. So I really only told them when the decision was already made. I think that's basically, or the main reason is, I'm from Leipzig, so my parents obviously were born, raised, and grew up in the former GDR. And after the reunification, there was a long time where unemployment was a very big issue, and having a permanent job was somehow a lifetime goal, right? Once you have a permanent job, you basically made it. So for them, it was really hard to understand why you would ever give up a job where you are basically happy, where you're paid quite well, and where you have stability, right? But now, as they know that I'm happy what they're doing, that's pretty fine.
I love it. So I'm going to give you guys a little hint of the globalization of freelance. In Asia, they would say, do not give up the iron rice bowl. Okay, that's the equivalent of GDR from what I'm hearing. And there's still record freelance growth. Now, Vincent, I'm going to do something, I'm going to kind of flirt a little bit, okay? What I mean by that is, I said flirt, F-L-I-R-T, in that Vincent could build any business he wanted to, okay? We did a lot of research in. He could build anything. And so when you have free time, ask him about Mexico and flowers, okay? And I want to use that as I ask him his first question, which is, what is the state of freelancing in Germany? And also, why are you so excited to be CEO, Hans?
So we've been here in Germany now for about 4 or 5 years. We now have 2 offices, one in Munich, one in Berlin, and we are about 70 people here in Germany. But a funny story is that we actually started here in this very office, this WeWork, in 2020. And at the time I moved here with my family because we thought, okay, Germany is going to be our biggest market and it's a very important market for us. So I moved here for a while, not at the right time because it was just before Corona, but a funny story is that WeWork was open during lockdown, so I could have an office. And you know that WeWork also had, I don't know now, but they had at the time a free beer tap, you know. So the WeWork downstairs here was the best bar, speakeasy bar, illegal of Munich, you know, for a while. I don't know if I should say that. But anyway, it was a good time. So we've been in Germany for a moment now. And Germany is the biggest market for freelancing in continental Europe. UK is bigger, but UK is not anymore in Europe. So it's 1.5, I think for sure, it on your site, 1.5 million freelancers. And so it's a very more mature market. For instance, the first market, so we started in France, after that we went in Spain. Spain is now growing, but you know, Spain, we did most of the evangelization there, you know, because freelancing was not known. When we arrived in Germany, freelancing was already quite mature. But COVID, as you said, has really increased, you know, that growth in an amazing way because before freelancing was mostly IT and design, and then we saw all type of fields, you know, like yours, for instance, coming to freelancing. So freelancing is very big in Germany. It's still growing. It's also a lot of freelancers with a lot of experience. In average, you know, people have more than 7 years experience. Like 50% of them have more than 7 years of experience in freelancing. And obviously they have professional experience before. And why is it a big market? Well, because it's a big economy. It's a big population, of course. But I think if you do the comparison with the consulting market has always been very big in Germany, and there's a reason for that. If you take, for instance, the Munich office of McKinsey is bigger than the one in Paris. And I think it's also linked to the decentralization of the economy with so many, you know, small or mid-sized cities where you still need to have access to the talent, but the talent is not necessarily on the place where you are. So Munich is a big city. It's probably easy to hire all type of people, whatever, super data scientists or anything. But if you are in Mittelstand, in a mid-sized town, probably it's harder. So that's why consulting has always been big in Germany, and in a way, freelance consulting is very big too, and is still growing and growing.
All right, I remember that time at WeWork. I would take my corporate card to get in for the day and then drink. It was great. Kind of smarter than Ash. But so, Marion, over to you in terms of getting to practical application. Obviously, change doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? If you tell your team we have this great thing, they're going to say, what's the challenge that we're solving, right? What are the problems that we're going to solve? And so for you, the high-level question I have is what keeps you up at night, especially from a lens of what problems are you seeing, and is freelance looking like the solution to solve?
Well, in general, compliance security is the most important thing for the company. So while hiring, we are really, as I said, centralized. Each team has to hire their own freelancer. And people working on marketing, IT, HR, they are not procurement, they are not fewer, but we're still asking them to hire in the right way. So giving them access to a platform like Malt, where we have already set up some conditions, some legal terms that we would like to have in a contract. So that would be followed through the translating the freelancers, so important to us. So as soon as a collaborator needs to hire someone, we know we are secure from this side, and it's really important coming for a company.
Gotcha. Now, I'm going to say a quick story, okay? Really quick. We were over at the largest insulin producer in the world, and we said the credit card statement, right? And they go, no, there's no way, right? We're this very highly technical, we have these labs, there's no way we have freelance spend. They checked the corporate card statement. They saw enough to have their eyes open up. They called. They said, hey, we see this charge related to freelance platform. Silence for 5 seconds. Then the person goes, am I getting fired? So I'm willing to bet that no matter what, every company here, they're seeing freelance spend, and you must centralize it, or else they're going to do it anyways. Now, Martina, rumor has it 10 years freelancing, 10 years plus?
Close to 10.
Close to 10? Okay. So tell us about your experience and how it's changed in those 10 plus years.
I actually felt pretty reminded how my career developed when you showed the slide on, like, first of all, you're being transactional, then you should develop to strategical and then disruptive, right? And when I look back at my career, I really could see parallels, because when I started as a freelancer, it was pretty transactional, right? So I was a VP people before. So when I started freelancing, I basically jumped in as a VP people whenever in a certain company somebody with this experience or in this role was missing due to, I don't know, illness, or you had to part, or the company had to part with this person and couldn't find somebody else quicker. So it was quite transactional. We missed somebody, you are the right person, please come in and cover until we found somebody new, right? And then it started to get more, I see that my work got more strategic, because more and more companies called saying, okay, Martina, business-wise, this is our plan. We want to expand to a certain area. We have to, restructure our company. We want to tap into a different market, and therefore we have to develop and prepare our organization, so much more strategical. And nowadays, not as often as I would wish, but still already companies are approaching me to say, okay, we really want to try something new. We want to think it through. We want to try it, but at this point, we don't feel safe enough to really establish it within the company. So we want to have somebody to have a sparring partner, somebody who could give us some ideas and maybe some outside perspective on something. So I hope this continues, but yeah, I can really see this development not only on the company side, but also on the freelancer side.
Yeah, I love the aspect of de-risking, right? And it's actually dovetailing into your next question, Vincent, because there is risk, right? But before, I do want to call out that if anyone here is thinking that your AI strategy is to go hire a head of AI, have fun $5 million later when you realize you should have hired a couple freelancers. So when we talk about de-risking, freelance is such an integral aspect of that. Now, Vincent, there is some risk. So there's a general question of what's the purpose of a platform, right? Why can't you just go hire you directly? And all you enterprise leaders know you don't want to step into that risk bucket. But Vincent, where does Malt and a talent platform fit into the overall talent landscape? And I want to also add, he has the most data across all of Europe. What's happening?
Yes. So maybe just to explain a bit of our history. So we started in 2013, and we wanted, you mentioned before Airbnb that's running. We actually wanted to do the Airbnb of work, or the Airbnb of freelancers. What I mean by that is that we wanted something as easy to use as Airbnb to hire freelancers. And we've always thought, even if we go through as a B2B market, people inside the company should have a user experience that is super easy. And we started like that. We started with assembling this community, which is today 800,000 freelancers around Europe, 60,000 in Germany. And we also, at one point, realized, okay, we're working more and more with these corporate clients like Accor, and we need to evolve to work in what you mentioned, security, compliance, etc. So we built on top of this marketplace a freelancer management system, which is a way to centralize everything that you do with freelancers. So all the compliance, contracting, the payment. So that's how we've been evolving. And you mentioned, Ali, I think you said a talent strategy. I think that's what we are seeing now, and particularly since COVID. People were before a bit more transactional, and they were finding freelancers when they needed. Now they understand that a big part of the pool of the talents are freelancers. If you take, for instance, just IT, we consider that the whole people working in IT in Europe, 50% are full-time employees, and 50% are externals. And out of these 50%, half are working for consulting companies, so the Accenture, the Capgemini, etc., and half is working as freelancers. So companies today need to have the freelancer strategy. That's why we're seeing more and more big corporates doing RFP to organize, their freelance strategy. And the clients we like working the most with is the ones where, interestingly, we have someone from HR and someone for procurement, where HR and procurement are working together. Because yes, it's a topic of procurement, yes, it's the acquisition of something, but at the same time, it's a HR topic. It's really a change of mindset. And by the way, I think you mentioned it, but usually our clients say about freelancers, they are experiments, but they are the most internal of the experiments. So they are really, helping us change the culture, going faster in our digitization, today AI, If you want to move this thing, if you can have, you can take a strategy firm and, in a top-down way, tell what to do, and that may be necessary. But at the same time, having all these freelancers spread out in all the organization, deploy a new culture, deploy new ways of working that are usually our clients say very important for them.
So the topic of embedding, I want to make sure I call that out. One of the number of questions I get asked is like, hey, what's the future of freelance? And I say it's actually not freelance. It's A players embedded in your team, but they're contractually freelancers. And I also want to call something out that's going to tee up, Mariana, over to you. Now, remember the thumbs. Who had their thumbs up? Get the thumbs. Okay, we got thumbs up. Okay. Now, let's get real. You willing to invest $20,000? Keep the thumb up if yes, down if no. Yes, 20,000. Okay. Now 30,000, right? 50,000, 50. Ooh, okay. This is why I ask. Okay. You're probably spending 500 to $1 million on multiple people. Yet, if you just went to Malt once and said, "Here's the statement of work," there's probably multiple freelancers that can embed. Now that's the high-level vision. Now, over to you. When you are communicating this across the company, when you are proving that we need to invest in this, what are the specific buzzwords that you're using? Is it talent scarcity? Is it speed? What are you using across the company to justify this investment?
Well, I'm not talking about security, I think. I thought about that. We have transparency, which is important, so we know where we are investing our money into it. We know the split between what's going to the freelancer, what's going to the third party, so it's really important to have this transparency, which you don't have all the time. In the administrative tasks are really getting more efficient. It's really easy to get some profiles to set up discussions, interviews, and really the process of getting quotation is really going fast. So setting times for employees is really important, that they can invest the time somewhere else. Rapidity is what I said, flexibility. We need to hire well because budget evaluation, it leads to a cost. And we will need a special resource at a certain point, so that's important. And I want to realize that we are, and it's a bit what we were saying before, Martina, and it's like before we were looking to, it was an open position, you were looking for a freelancer to fill this gap, and now it's like I have a project where I need a certain expertise, really specific one, and I'm looking for someone that truly has this expertise. And that we can really find on the platform, because you can really give the job description and get profiles that are really linked to these specific products. That's really important.
So the time savings, right? That's a consistent across all. Now, we're going to get into tactically the next steps on how to get started. Before that, Vincent, from everything that you see, if you can, I'd love to hear about some big wins and some clients that are really grabbing it and taking control of this.
Well, I should say I quoted, but you talked about it better than I do. No, I think we have a few ones. So we have 70,000 clients, all types. Because it's important for freelancers to work sometimes with startups, with small and medium businesses, and some other time with corporate enterprise clients. In the big ones, one that I have in mind that we started with this year, so quite late, is Schneider Electric. It's a very global company. And what's interesting about it is what I was just mentioning, the fact that it's a unique combination of procurement and HR working together. And they put it not just as a question of cost or yes, there's a question of compliance and centralization, but really a new talent strategy where they say we want new and different talents. I found the different very interesting. And so they're working together. They even have someone who she doesn't have that title, but it's almost that, like a chief freelancer officer. She's in charge of deploying freelancing into the whole organization. And why also it's a very interesting one, because so we have this unique combination of HR procurement. We are a unique provider for them globally, so in all their locations. We are integrated to their tools, so I'm not going to be too technical here, but connected to their ERP, their procurement ERP, in that case Coupa. So it's really flawless for the people who are using it to work through Malt. And it's amazing client with an amazing culture, and they're starting from scratch on freelancing compared to other clients that we have. But I think they're probably going to be in the next 2 years in our top 5 or top 10 clients.
That is perfect. Okay, now we're kind of feeling very visionary, and I want to set a benchmark of where we are today with you. So, as we think about getting started in your freelance program and hiring freelancers, Martina, tell us what it's like when you get started working with clients, and tell us the overall experience, the good, the bad, and what do the good ones do?
Well, obviously, when it comes to onboarding, there have been good experiences and there have been better ones. What I would say, or maybe an advice I would give, is that you really should partner, obviously not only in onboarding in general, but also already in onboarding with the freelancer that you have on board, because usually these people, especially if you get somebody from Malt, so people that have quite some experience in freelancing, having done various and many projects, they usually know what they need and they can truly help you to make this a really smooth and efficient process. And on the other hand, to freelancers, I also would advise to really support the client, because it's really onboarding a freelancer really different, is different whether it's a more short-term project, really specific, really limited amount of time, or whether it is a very long-term consulting project. So you might need different levels and a different depth of onboarding, and as I said, really help each other out here. And and maybe what I was also like to add, it is as annoying for full-time or permanent employees as for freelancers when you start and you don't have the access that you need to really get working, right? Because usually when you go to a new project, you're really fired up, you really want to start, and then you go, okay, oh no, I'll wait. Oh no, that's fine. Oh, next week? Oh yeah, okay, that's fine. So really, you, as I said, as you would onboard a permanent employee, technical or IT-wise, do so with your freelancer.
I love it. And listen, if you have the right strategy and you've invested and you have a true partnership with all the platforms, skip the onboarding as well. don't have 4 weeks of onboarding for a freelancer, right? It's contradicting. Now, Marion, the who, the what, people here, they have budgets even, right? They need to go unlock some budget, and they need to know who needs to be involved and what they need to do over the next 30, 60, 90 days.
I think USMV for procurement and HR with population, I absolutely agree with that. Then I will add to that legal team as well. So it's really important to have those departments talking to each other from the beginning and to make sure that the right subjects will be tackled from the beginning, because they will come up at some point when you're developing the contracts. But also with the teams, the departments that are actually engaging this need to have more freelancers, so really to bring them up, to have some key users that will really tell you what they needed, how they needed, and maybe let them test the products before, because that's how you will get the engagement for your departments, and at the end, that's what you want. You are investing quite some time to develop a partnership, so you want people to be engaged, to really use it. Otherwise, you will hit the work, I would say, for nothing. So really engage on the part you may think and the abilities. It will take more time, but your engagement should be high talent, and at the end, that's really the goal.
All right. So, Vincent, it's an international rule. Whoever pays for the food gets the last word. And unfortunately, WeWork doesn't have free beer, so you had to pay for all of it. Now, you is the last word. And feel free to ask questions after as well, too. Literally as simple as, what should every single person here do in the next 30, 60, 90 days? And I want to add, what are some use cases? I heard one related to a cybersecurity expert in Ireland. That's crazy cool. But over to you. What should these leaders do in the next 30 days?
I don't know about this particular one, because we have done already at Malt 350,000 projects in total. So we have a lot of cases. I think we summarize here a lot of things. One sentence I have in mind is one day the CHRO of L'Oréal telling me, I'm in charge of bringing talents here. That's my only job. So whatever the status of these talents is, employee, freelancer, I find them, and I need someone to find them. So, and I think there's another keyword that we like here at Malt, which is choice. And you mentioned it. The fact that thanks to technology and thanks to being a platform, we give access directly to the end user so that they can, choose the freelancer they work with, makes a big difference. People were buying before a brand, a famous brand name, and I think we're entering into an era where people want to choose the people. And as you mentioned, people are looking first for freelancing. They're thinking about cost at the beginning, and yes, it can be less costly. But then they move on thinking, no, we can have the best skills there, and we can have people who also, in terms of mindset, in terms of soft skills, are also all entrepreneurs. And on this technology part, by the way, we keep on improving at Malt, how we do this matching, which is really the cornerstone of what we do. And next month, well, in 2-3 weeks now, we're launching, so everyone is working, of course, on AI. We are launching something based on Gen AI, which we, again, reinvent the way of doing the matching between freelancers and clients, and will be quite amazing. So I'm looking forward to this, and maybe we have another occasion to do an event here or in Germany to present that.
Oh, you invested. Perfect. Now, if I could summarize, partnership and having an intentional strategy. Now, are there any questions from the audience? What do we got? Beck. Perfect.
First, thanks for the discussion. Thanks for the keynote, Matthew. I have a question because we heard a lot about the benefits and the potential of freelancing, of course. So I have a question a bit from the other side, if I may quickly lead up to it. As far as I'm informed, the term freelancer comes from being a free lance. So a soldier that was not sworn any allegiance to a lord. In this mercenary scenario, I can imagine like a few situations where a freelancer is not the ideal choice, maybe. So my question would be, and sorry for the long lead up, do you know any situations where a freelancer maybe might not be the best choice?
And let me just call out, that was you Europeans that did the whole freelance thing, okay? We were like poor peasants. Okay, working over you.
First of all, it's probably when you have a role to fill, not a specific project, not a specific goal that you're aiming for, not a specific project, right? If it's a role that you have to fill within your company, then probably it's good to look out for somebody permanently, right?
What was you guys say?
Well, when we talk these days since COVID about the geography of work, we're talking about a hybrid mode, like being at the office sometimes, being remote. And I think in the type of people you have as talents in your company, it can be also hybrid. You need both. I don't believe that everyone would be freelancer. Us as a company, Malt, as a freelancer platform, we have 600 employees all around Europe. And we use about 500 freelancers a year. So some of them, for a full project of a year, sometimes 2 days, sometimes 2 weeks. So that I believe, is going to be the new normal. We see in some companies when we check data that they may have, at one point, in time, in a month, in a given month, between 10 to 20% of their talents being freelancers. By the way, the companies, the biggest company we're working with, the DAX type of companies, they are spending average, €1 billion a year in professional services. And they tell us freelancing will be probably in 2030, 20 to 30% of this. Okay? Our biggest clients do 50, 40 million. But we think that our biggest clients in the coming 5 years will be doing 200 to 300 million per year. So it's a hybrid mode, it's not one against the other. Sometimes you need employees, sometimes you need freelancer.
Beautiful. Do we have any more? What else we got? Yep, right here.
So the German economy is declining as of now. We're going to rough times. Many of the big DAX companies as well declining. One early measure is to cut on external spend, especially also consulting, maybe freelancing. So do you feel that at Match Germany? And what would you recommend for freelancers in this area to capture new opportunities?
And Zinger.
For me? Okay. Whatever, man. Yeah, I don't have the perfect answer. It's true that we've been seeing the economy more gloomy, I would say, here for a moment. At the same time, it's the biggest economy in Europe. The market for freelancing, we estimate, is about 100 billion euros per year. So quite massive. I think that's a good position. I think companies, you can put it on positively or negatively. For instance, when there are hiring freeze, you could say, well, the first thing we will freeze is external workforce. At the same time, where there is hiring freeze, we see also, a rise of people like, they have to keep on the projects, So they look for solutions, and they find external solutions, and some of them being freelancers. So I think, it equilibrates itself in a way. And another thing is maybe the DAX type of companies are more cautious these days, but there's a Mittelstand that need to move on, like we were talking about AI, we were talking about data, digitization, etc. Again, if you want to have the access to talents and you are in this mid-sized city in Germany, what before was mostly having access to blue collars that you could have in your area, now it's just not possible. So you need these freelancers, and you need these freelancers to come to your place, they say 2-3 days a week, and then to work remotely, etc. So in the end, all this, kind of equilibrates itself. So it's not the best year for the market, for sure. I won't say the contrary. But I think that there are some moving trends in one way and another.
Yeah.
If I may add, it's remembering me like in the crisis 2008, and then like in France, all the automobile industry was actually getting rid of some people and asking them to be freelancers. So prices means need for flexibility to recover. And so, yes, the status maybe not that way today, but everything that's going down needs some flexibility to recover and to be the new modern. So I think maybe for freelancer is not if it's not going too much down, not that bad.
Yeah, maybe from the freelance perspective, what I find helpful to actually adapt to the challenges that the companies are facing in this decline or in this crisis, as you might say. For example, in my field of HR, it's okay. How can we work more efficiently? How can we make sure that we are really agile in our organization? How can we make sure that we keep up the spirits, even though we, might have to put down some projects or things like that. And these are topics that arise in special occasions. And for me, I find it very helpful to have an eye on these developments and then come up with matching offers from my side.
So I'm going to give you 3 pieces of data, okay? It's very boring. Between 5 and 20% of freelance leaders, so this actually means more of the freelance platform executives, would say that their client acquisition was good this year. It's really terrible, right? 5 to 20%. With that said, 85 to 91% of those freelance leaders feel long-term confident about the freelance economy. Now compare that to someone sitting in a marketing agency, someone sitting in tech. We're doing a whole hell of a lot better. And the last piece of data is if you look at the CAGR, the compound annual growth rate of platforms, it's between 12 and 16%. Now, Europe, you're down by the 12 to 14. Asia, LATAM, they're up. But still, 12% compound annual growth rate, over 85% of leaders feeling confident, even though, I hear you, it sucks to get leads. So just want to throw that data out there. Okay, what else we got?
Talked a lot about potential so far, and what was I missing a little bit was the focus on regulation. What is your expectation about this? Because Germany, I think, is a lot different to US or other countries, and especially Germany's regulation is a hard topic. And I feel especially the bigger companies, they fear of freelance because they have fear due to regulation.
So I'll start with the US, and then we'll go around. I think whether Germany, France, EU, any government, you're terrified of 2 things: taxes and are the people going to revolt? Taxes is pretty easy. In the US, if everyone was a freelance workforce, I think we'd lose around $4 trillion. The reason is employers don't have to pay the payroll tax, right? So there's actually, depends on what side you're looking at, there can be some very, very anti-freelancer classification. Now, are they going to revolt? Around 72% of Uber drivers would say, I don't want a full-time job. And if you ask them, I ask every single Uber driver, I've yet to have one say I want a full-time job. So I think there's definitely a disconnect between politicians and the actual freelancers is what we're seeing. With that said, the regulation is actually pretty simple. Do you choose to be a freelancer? If yes, pay your taxes and you agree to this. So it should be simple, but obviously it's contextual. But I just want to give you that context. And from a US perspective, talk after November, I might have a different answer for you, but there is 2 different views. And I will say that similar to technology can override, and I lived in San Francisco, so I've seen governments say don't do this and tech say screw it, we're doing it, and then it becomes the norm. I think our industry is past the point, right? You can't say freelance is not the way. People are actually going to revolt. So I'll throw it around.
Yes, so that's a good question. That's a topic we know for a while now, and we are in most countries of Western Europe. And I would say that's Europe, there's regulation. And we had different shades of gray, depending on the country. And it's true here in Germany that it is, a question always, very gray-zone. At the same time, what I was mentioning is that Germany is still the biggest market in continental Europe, at least for freelancing. And we've done a lot of projects here with SMBs, with bigger clients. We, by the way, also 2 years ago acquired a German platform here, Comach, that was more focusing on interim management and management consulting, and they had 10 years already of experience. We never had a product, And what we think is our role here is to talk about this to our clients or prospective clients. So you mentioned legal. Actually, it's a very good point. And we do some legal breakfasts. We do meetings with these clients to tell them, okay, it's still a gray zone. We won't tell you there's no risk. It's not possible. But working, and Mario mentioned it very well, working with a platform in a way helps you being even safer. Why? Because you have control. The problem is when, and what the German authorities don't like, but the same in Spain or France, is that when a freelancer is a freelancer for 10 years, for instance, so then they say, okay, but there should have been an employee, So if you can control that, thanks to being a platform, because you have all the centralized data, the compliance, we check that the freelancer is well registered, pay their taxes and things like that. So, and also the fact that we are a platform, yes. We had this possibility of the freelancers building their reputation on the platform. And so his or her reputation helps them get more projects. So it's very easy to show, because they had this open platform, open marketplace profile, that they don't, that they're not dependent on this client in particular, So we have all these arguments, but we think, it's our role also to teach and to explain and to make people feel secure. But it's the same in France, it's the same in Spain, it's the same in the UK. Now you think UK is a very flexible market, but they have this new law, so we have to do that. Okay, but most of the time everything is doing well. We just have to tell that to our clients.
What else we got? What are the bads? We got the legal. I love that back there.
First, Mario, did you ever or experience within your company a situation where the collaboration with a freelancer didn't go well?
And how was it perceived in the company? Was it like many people saying, I told you in the beginning, freelancer is a bad choice? Or was it rather like, okay, that didn't work, but there are many other options out there, let's go for another one? Was there a learning effect, or was it rather a, let's say, adversative against freelancing perspective after that situation? If so.
Of course, we might have some cases, but I think it's in general hiring. It's not 100% science. Since human-based, we do interview, we have feelings, it's working, it's not working. So I don't think anyone is critiquing them freelancers, etc. But I really believe the fact, on the platform, the fact that you really have, as well, the story, and you can see the reviews, the project that the freelancers did to other companies. We can also see if another departments work through this freelancer within the company. So it's also been handy, maybe you can take some decisions rather than interviewing someone that's coming from outside. So I think it's helping. Of course, they may have some cases, but I don't think it's giving a bad image of freelancing.
All right, let's wrap it up. Time to have some food. Thank you, Vincent, for all the food. And thank you so much for having all of us today.
Cool.